Boy, Cypher Providence, back at it again with another YouTube video. In this one, we'll be talking about Sleepaway Camp. For this one in particular, I watched all three films, as I felt like I knew kind of how long they ran, and I knew that they didn't run that long in comparison to a lot of the other films that I've seen or have had on my list so far. So I was like, you know what? I'll do it. They seem kind of goofy and wacky, and I won't really have to put that much thought into them. So fuck it, let's watch it. So that's what I did. I ended up watching it. Um, we'll be talking about the first one, the second one, and the third one, and then that'll wrap up our review. So the first one was released in 1983, and then I actually enjoyed this one. I enjoyed the first one a lot. I like how like they're keeping the at the beginning of the film, they kind of keep the killer ambiguous. You're following these you're following three central characters in Angela, Paul, and then Ricky, who's the brother of Angela, and they're basically all at this camp or whatever. And there's like these killings happening throughout the camp, and so you're trying to figure out like kind of who's the one who's killing it. I knew who was the one killing, who was killing them, but I like how like they leave it ambiguous by just using like shots of like her arm, or I mean not her arm, but like a character's arm and stuff, and like really making you think like, oh, I wonder who it is. You can kind of infer who it is based off of like which characters are being killed and whatnot, and if you're following the story. I mean, they leave it ambiguous enough to where you could think it's like it's between like really two, maybe three characters, and you're like, which one of the three is it? I unfortunately had the knowledge of knowing who it was, so I wasn't really like, you know, that invested into it, but seeing how it played out entirely instead of like just in clips and scenes or whatever was really nice to see. Angela and Paul were like Angela's basically our central character, our main character, though she is mute and kind of like, or not mute, but she has her moments where she's shy and quiet and she's not talking. But eventually when she starts talking to Paul, she ends up having like this really nice relationship going with him, and I found like at least at the start the relationship was cute. And then you also have like our kind of central antagonist for this film, Judy, who's like an evil little shit, but I love it. I love Judy in this film. These like those four characters, Angela, Paul, Ricky, and Judy, all like were the those four were the best characters of the film. She's like basically Judy's basically the evil mean girl you see in like every fucking like high school or camp movie, where she's like the popular girl that everyone wants to be with, or everyone likes or wants to be. And then you have like our dorky central kind of quiet character being the one that's like being bullied by her. But like Judy, some of the lines Judy has and her delivery and her presentation that she has in this film were really nice, and I fucked with that. She easily has one of the best lines where she calls our main character a carpenter's dream, a flat board, or something like that. Or like maybe it's the reverse, like a flat board, a carpenter's dream, or something. And that line was so fucked up, but it was funny and hilarious. It was like the best line of the first film by far. And then I don't think any film after that, the second or third one, have even as close of a line to it. I felt like this first film had the best acting of the film. You also in this film see Angela's backstory, or the film starts off with you you getting a shot of like Angela's dad. I think it was either dad or uncle dying at the start of the film, and then you're interested in seeing how that exactly would play into this film if part if by chance maybe, actually that is an interesting thing I didn't think of, is the idea that her dad could have been the killer. Obviously based off of like the the way the hands and everything looked whenever a killer would kill someone, it most likely 100% like it was not an adult or something, but it's an interesting thought that some people might believe it could be her dad back from the grave or something, defending Angela from like all these bullies and everything. But yeah, I really like that. And then like uh towards the end of the film, you end up like kind of, after figuring out what's going on, you sympathize with her. But it's like with Angela, after her backstory and everything and all the bullying that she's been through, you sympathize with her. But that ending is very interesting to say the least. And like all the characters have like excellent dynamics between each other. Like our essential four main characters, Angela, Paul, Judy, and Ricky, like they had like all an interesting dynamic between each other. Between like the boys, she didn't have like that interesting of a dynamic, but between Angela and Judy, like their little rivalry or whatever, or mainly Judy's hatred for Angela, like I like that. I liked Angela and Paul's chemistry, and then I like Paul and Ricky's chemistry as best friends, and then Ricky and Judy, or I mean Ricky and Angela as brother and sister. Those two had like a very good sibling dynamic that I really liked. This film also has excellent practical effects, and like the make, or not excellent, but they had really good practical effects in this one. Like a lot of the stuff, and on top of the makeup design was great as well. It really like it really, they did really good, is what I'm trying to say. They did really good with it. There's like this one scene where this dude gets his skin or he gets boiling hot water dumped on him or whatever, to the point where it kills him. And then the makeup design to see like all like his blistering and bubbly skin after having the water poured on him was really nice, and it was really effective. And there's other scenes where characters get like stabbed or something, and it looks nice makeup design wise and all that. And then they also did a decent job here with kind of hiding away the fact that this was like a low budget film, because like they would cut away from like the gruesome kills and all that, but they also like did it smart to where like they would cover it up, but then they would show you the aftermath of it, and they would use practical effects to really like enhance the lackluster imagery of the kill, which I really liked. Going back to the characters though, Paul, oh my god, I liked Paul at the beginning of this film, but then like towards the end and middle, he starts like being an asshole douchebag, where he's trying to like put himself onto Angela, because they started having like a little romance with the film, and like he starts forcing her, himself onto her kinda. And like at first I was like, okay, look, I understand you're young, so I'll let like the first one slide. But he kept on like kind of pushing and pushing until like the end of the film. He starts apologizing, and he's sorry for his actions, and he's trying to take it slower or whatever. And then you're like, okay, finally we're back on track. But then what happens in the end happens, and you're like, damn. They also have like these counselors that, like, obviously because it's a camp, so they need counselors at the camp, and most of them are fucking sleazebags, or they're fucking just asshole characters. Like there's this one female counselor that's just always rude and mean to Angela, and it's like, what the fuck is your problem? And then the other ones are just like either sleazebags or just like they're non-existent. Like the head counselor dude, the one who runs the whole camp, is fucking, he's weird as fuck. If I remember correctly, he was gonna try and date one of his like other younger counselors, and she's like fucking in her teens, and he's like fucking like 50 or some shit. It's like, what the fuck? And then at the beginning of the film, the dude who gets a boiling water dumped on him, he's like 30 or something. I don't know his actual age, but he's like 30 or something, and he's like talking about like kids like they're fresh meat. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm happy that both of those characters died because they deserved it, but it's like you can't have like at least one good counselor, and then we when I was thinking that, we end up getting a good counselor in Eddie, who's like really nice, is always helpful, trying to help Angela out because all the kids are bullying her, or he's like being nice to just like everyone in general, and actually being a good counselor, which I really liked. Also, despite like them hiding away from the kills and everything, they have one of the craziest and coolest kills in this film I've ever seen. I wish we got like a full blown like practical like effect one for it, instead of just like if hiding away and then us like finding out what it was later. But by the end of the film, the killer ends up going after Judy, and she fucking, they get a fucking a curling iron and like jam it into her fucking private parts, and then that's how she fucking dies. And that is like the craziest, but like it's just the craziest fucking kill. And like hearing that that's how she died, it's like, what the fuck? I just like morbid curiosity, obviously, but I just want to see what the fuck that would look like. Like that would have been fucking crazy. But yeah, and then the ending free shot, when they reveal the character who ends up being Angela, they also end up revealing that this whole time, Angela wasn't a girl. She was a boy, and her aunt or whatever had like basically like messed, like forced her to be a girl, and was like messing with her mind or whatever, and forcing her to play the role of a girl, which I guess in part had some effect on her, like obviously her mental stability and everything, but the reason why she's been shy and quiet throughout like the whole film and everything. And then the free shot is like of like Angela's mouth all wide and open, and then like hairy, like she has like a hairy ass chest, and then she's just like or whatever, and just like it just like zoomed out on the freeze frame, and then like they're naked. It's like, what the fuck is this freeze frame? Like, it's impactful for the film because it's like shocking once you find it out, but at the same time it's like you stuck on this for too long. Like if you had cut it like 5 seconds into your 10 or 15, you would have been fine. But it's kind of weird or whatever. But overall, I really like the movie. It's solid. It's not like anything too spectacular or crazy. I put it as a 6. Honestly, this is like a 5. It's more so a 5. It's like a 5 film. Like you can put it on, you can enjoy it, but it's not like something that's gonna stick out with you. The thing that'll stick out with you the most is the curling iron kill, once you find out that that's what happened, and then the ending free shot, and that's really it. But the characters are really good, and I like them. At least our central 4 characters. The other campers, they had personalities and gimmicks behind them that like at least made them enjoyable to watch. And yeah, just it's a pretty bang average film, but it's an enjoyable watch nonetheless. Then as soon as I finished that one, I went into the second one, and it picks up right again with Angela. The thing I like about all 3 of these films is that it's similar to like any other horror film in a sense, where they bring back their killer or whatever. And I like that Angela's the staple character that they focus on, because she low-key carries these films easily. We're gonna speed through the second one because I low-key didn't enjoy it that much. There's some cool characters in here, or at least like serviceable characters, but they're not really that crazy. This second one exposes how like bad it would be to show off the kills, because in the first one they shy away from it, but they have good practical effects to make up for it. In this one, I don't know what happened, but like, not only did they not shy away from the fact that like they didn't have like the framing or camera work or whatever to back up like the kills or whatever, or like the hitting and the impactfulness of them, but they also just had like they didn't have as good as practical effects as the first one, so it brought the film down for me in that sense as well. They do have some pretty funny scenes, like a panty raid, and then the female characters are like, oh, we're gonna get our get back, and then they go for a jockstrap raid, and then that was pretty fun. We also had references to Freddy Krueger and Jason and Leatherface, which was really cool. And I mean, the plot is the same thing. It's just Angela running through the camp, or Angela, after being let out of a psych ward, I don't know why I was saying a ward, but psych ward. She ends up becoming a camp counselor, and then I guess to like protect the innocence and sanctity that she kind of like got from the camp, she ends up going on a murder spree, killing like all the campers who don't abide by like her sanctity that she's had or whatever. But yeah, and then like as I said, the first film hid the weaknesses of like the kills, but this one doesn't, and it really shows with the practical effects also not helping because they're not as good as they were in the first film. Aside from like certain aspects of the lead up to the final girl, to like us finding out who the final girl is going to be, and who like because we know who our main character is kind of, but if anything, more so our main character is just Angela, and then we get the final girl towards the end, and then like yeah, they lead up to it. It's alright, the final girl, like lead up to the final girl, and I like how like she's kind of like a more mentally stable and nice version of Angela, where she likes to camp and she's respecting the rules or whatever, and she doesn't like the idea of like bad people, you know, being at the camp or whatever. But she's not like going about it in a crazy way like Angela. She's just like, I don't know, she's just sad. And I just thought like the contrast between our final girl and our main antagonist was really cool, even though Angela is just like overall the better character, and they didn't really focus on the final girl that much, in my opinion, or give her enough character for me to like her as much as I did Angela. They had a scene where she was where Angela was plagued by all like the horrible things she's done as like a karmatic type of way, and I thought that was pretty cool. But like the way they shot it was so dumb, because they put like this blue hue over it and slowed down like because they have like shots of her like singing in the background as well, and they slowed down the singing, and it like the way they shot it was just so weird, and I was just so confused by it. However, despite them not having good practical effects throughout this whole film, like I've been saying, they do like basically save it for the last kill, which is pretty cool, and I like that. But overall, this one was not as good as the first one. I have it on here that's a 5 out of 10, but after previously giving the first one a 5, this one's like a 4.5. You can watch it, but honestly, you could just skip it and you would be fine. You would be fine, honestly. And yeah, it's just not as good, and I was low-key hoping for better. It still has its moments, but overall it's whatever. And then finally, Sleepaway Camp 3, a la the poster in the background that you see. This one was released in 1989. The movie starts off with nice character introductions, and it starts off with Angela killing like this camp. The explanation for why Angela is back at another camp without them knowing that it's her or whatever is nice and kind of set up well, because she ends up killing this one girl, which is, it's weird that like she knew she was gonna be camp counselor. Like, if I'm looking like for plot holes, I could point out how dumb it is, but like ideally it's a nice setup. She steals the identity of a camper, and then she goes to the camp, and then that's how the movie starts, with her trying to kill all like the bad influences on the camp and everything. And then after that, then we did get our character introductions, which is nice, because the way they did they went about it this way is they had like this news crew there, so they could talk uh, to the campers, because they're making it like a publicity stunt, and then like they have a news crew there so they can interview them, and then so they can make money off of the whole process or whatever. And because of that, they ask the campers questions and stuff, and then they introduce us to the characters. Most, if not all, the characters in this one are like one note, and they have like their one little gimmick quirkiness that was just like, I was not here for it. I was like, okay, like we had like maybe like 3 or 4 tolerable characters that had actual personality, and those characters that had actual personality were stuck. Like, they kind of separate all the characters into different groups. There's like 3 main groups, and Angela's in the one group, and then we have like our 2 other staple groups, and then the group that we focus on the least, which is like the most interesting group, it's like, why wouldn't you focus on these more interesting characters and then Angela's character, and then like go back between like those 2 and give them an equal amount of time? Because in this film they don't. They really like just focus on Angela, which is like, I'm here for Angela. Yes, I like Angela's character, but like, you could have focused on these interesting characters that you're setting up, and I could be attached to them more, and then we don't have to get like these less tolerable characters, and Angela could go kill them and it'd be fine or whatever. But I digress. They also had a scene in this one where there's like this racist girl, or she seems fine, but then she's like, I guess the explanation is that she's a country girl or something, which isn't a good enough explanation for someone to be racist, and I don't even know why they even have a racist character in here, but whatever. She's like, there's this one character who listens to rap, and he's like a generic like hood dude or whatever, and he's listening to rap or whatever, and she's like, can we like stop listening to this rap music? Like, we even want to listen to this trash or whatever. And then the black dude replies with like, oh, nobody likes country music, da da da. And then she's like, she calls him the N-word, hard R, and I'm like, why is this even here? And then she uses it again in another scene when she's with Angela alone, and then I thought they were gonna fucking make Angela racist, just to be like, see, she's the ultimate evil. Luckily they didn't, but it was just like, every time they kept on using it, it wounded me, and I was just like, can we just not, like, you can do racist characters without having to use racist words. You could just do it by their actions or by their demeanor or other stuff, and that would be better. Why are we using the N-word? We don't need to be using the N-word. Luckily though, Angela is against racism, and she kills that character, and like basically immediately the next scene, and she calls her a bigot for it, and I was like, let's go, Angela. W Angela, as always. But overall, this is like a serviceable film. It found its identity from being like a kind of serious / still goofy film in the first one, to being like, it probably was in due part because of like how not good the practical effects in this one or in the second one they were. But The second one was just more goofiness and whatnot, and this one kind of found its place in its footing in a sense, so it could mesh between the two. But it was like kind of at that point too late for me, honestly, to like really enjoy the movie at that point. So overall, I give it like a 5.5 out of 10. It's I like it more than the first one. Now, do I? No, no. I'll give it a 5, not 5 out of 10. I like it as much as the first one. They can interswap between being my favorites of the film franchise, but like it's an alright film. It has pretty much surface level characters, with some characters like the the secondary group that we focus on more so than the third group, but it's like they didn't get enough screen time personally for me to like them incredibly like I think they were trying to get people to do. So yeah, surface level film. It's alright. And yeah, with that out of the way, we're done with our review. As always, remember to like, comment, subscribe. Helps out the channel, helps it grow and everything and all that. And I'll leave my socials at the end so you could keep up with with either my livelihood or just like any updates I might give for my YouTube channel. I did go to that concert yesterday, so I will be fucking trying to edit that video. It'll probably come out either at the beginning of next month, if I can edit it correctly and everything, or put either the end of this month or the start of next month. That's most likely when it'll be released. And yeah, with that out of the way, peace. Stay pimpin', pimps.